Hey everybody, welcome. Saturday afternoon, 12:15 in the eastern part of North Carolina. Glad to be here. Glad to see we have a few people here in the chat already. 11 viewers, 9 likes. Guys, thank you so much. And gals, if you're out there as well. This should be an interesting stream. I have couple of different things going on in the studio here that's not my normal, what I'm used to during a live stream, and we'll get into that and we'll talk about that in a bit. So audio is low, Jason says. Let me come over. It's interesting. That's one of the things I messed around with this week was the audio. Let me try pumping it up just a little bit. I'm not sure why it's so low, but anyway, I cranked it up a little bit better, a little bit higher, and I angled the mic closer to my mouth. So hopefully that's a little bit better. We can talk about some of the audio changes that I made this week. I was playing around a little bit with my compressor settings because the output gain, the makeup gain on the compressor was, I think it was plus 10 or plus 11, and it was kind of high for a makeup gain as the last part of the signal chain leaving the chain and going into the actual ATEM. So I was playing around a little bit. I might have messed things up. I don't know how it sounds, but hopefully it's a little better. Let's go over to the chat and just start saying hello to folks. Weather here is absolutely gorgeous. The weather is 80 degrees right now and only like 58% humidity, which is fantastic. So yeah. All right. And again, I'm looking a little off to the side right now where I normally look directly in front of me for the comments. And again, we could talk about why. Like I said, things are a little bit different. You actually can see part of the laptop in front of on the composition where you normally don't see that. So anyway, let's go over to the comments and say hello. Let's greet everyone. So Grish is here. Welcome, Grish. Glad to have you here. Jeremy, welcome. I know you're working. Hope you don't work too hard, and I appreciate you catching the replay later. Jason, welcome. Thank you for sending over that link. I'm actually going to show that this morning, if you don't mind, because it's something I wasn't aware of either. Appreciate you being here. Good afternoon. I should say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you're viewing from. So good morning or afternoon, Tim, actually, or it's actually evening for you, Tim. Joining from a cloudy 48 degree Fahrenheit, United Kingdom. Wow. Joe is here. Welcome, Joe. What up? Not much up. Just been playing around with some things in the studio this week. So we'll share all that in this stream. This stream is probably not going to be, it's going to be not so much focused, I think, on, we're not going to talk about Proxmox this week. We're not going to talk about networking or switches or routers or anything like the usual stuff. It's going to lean more towards the AV side of things, playing around with a new feature in H2R Graphics, explored another avenue for graphics as well. Plus, like I said, I was making some changes to the audio. So what one of the things I did was I moved the mic closer to my mouth to get a better proximity effect. It's a little bit higher because one of the things I complained about was with using this boom arm that I would hit it all the time. So it's a bit higher than normal, which brings it a little closer to my mouth. So hopefully it's okay. How is the iPad mounted on the top of the monitor? Isn't that hard to reach? It's mounted with almost like a super clamp. and a little arm. I'll show you that. We're gonna go to the mobile phone in a minute because there's something I want to show you over in the studio. So once I have the mobile phone up and running, I'll show you that bracket again. It's not hard to reach. I could touch it right now, and it's really there for reference. Once I get this live stream set up and ready to go, it's really there for me almost as a reference and nothing else. I rarely have to touch it during a show. Let the beat drop, got my Sonos subwoofer going. Awesome. No voice. A little quiet. It's really, really low compared to the music. Cyber Gizmo is here. Welcome, DJ Ware. It's still a little low even after I adjusted it. Joe's saying it's probably because the music was mastered to 0 dB. So where I'm peaking right now on the ATEM when I'm talking, I'm peaking at around minus 18. Minus 17. So I guess I could boost that a little bit, or I could raise the makeup gain on the compressor again. Music was at a volume, and when it stopped, I thought you were muted. Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to watch that back. Joe is agreeing. Wow. Okay. I didn't adjust that much. So, let's do this. Let's do this. How is that? Any better? I hope I'm not peaking. I don't see it peaking on the SSL. Good afternoon, Bluey. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Welcome, Terrell. Happy to have you. TVJ is in the house. Welcome. Terrell says, I will be in and out as I grocery shop. Yep, I think I know your pattern. Your weekly Saturday shopping with the missus usually. What happened to the avatars? I couldn't tell you. Joe's saying try to hit minus 6 peak. God, I have the SSL turned up right now to 9 out of 10. Hold on a sec. Is this any better? I'm looking at the SSL. I'm not peeking there. Let me know, guys. Tim is saying that's better. Yeah, I'm hitting now. Regularly, I'm hitting at around minus 10, peaking at around minus 8. Close. Not peaking. Chris says, yeah, I like streaming up at minus 5 because YouTube themselves compresses the audio. Source versus streamed is so much different. Michael Berg is in the house. Welcome, Michael. Yeah, I just adjusted the compressor a little bit. I kind of brought the levels back to where they were. Okay. Whoa. I just saw that peak. So I'm going to leave it here. Hopefully you guys can deal with it. And then I'll watch it back later and try to mess with it this week. I coughed and I forgot to put the mic back on. Hopefully we'll get through the live stream with the audio settings the way they are, and I'll kind of play with them again during the week. But boy, the levels are higher than general textbook theory suggests they be, but whatever sounds good, as long as it's not too hot and it's not clipping. Grish says it sounds good now. Sounds good. PHE wide AS still muted. Yeah, I realize that. Yep, realize that. You're still muted, good sir. Not anymore. I should be good now. But, okay. All right, so let me give you guys an update if I can get this. If I can get this KiloView decoder to work in my favor without having to restart it. I restarted it earlier before the live stream, so let me see if I can get it up and running. I want to take you to the back again real quick, give you an update on what's going on in the closet on the rack. Let's get you in here and let's hit go live. Okay, it says it's on air, but I'm not seeing it yet. Ah, there we go. Boy, it's up on the screen. It just popped up on the multi-view, but the status on the... I'm going to show you this real quick. Looking, just if I was judging just by the status of the decoder, nothing in the window here, and this connected one up here is the PTZ cam in front of me. This one here is the wireless SRT camera. You can see it doesn't even show me a status of connected. It's not giving me any status, but in fact it's connected because you can see I'm moving it around. All right, so anyway, I'm going to walk you to the back. I'm going to switch microphones for a second. Okay, I am up on the Hollyland Lark 2. I will walk to the back. I'm going to try not to make you sick. All right, so update on the UPS. The Delta 3 came in this week. There it is. If we zoom in, you could see that it's only, the entire rack is only pulling 266 to 268. It fluctuates a little bit to 73, but we're well under 300. And for this unit, we're only at about 15% capacity. So getting that in place really worked out well. I just have it on a little block of wood. As you can see there, I didn't want it on the carpet. That I was able to get the U-Green back in the rack, which I'm happy about because I wasn't too thrilled that it was out on my desktop. And I am in the process now of replacing the two Bose amps. I bought a Sonos amp for replacing the rear speakers out in the back deck area, and eventually it's not as critical that I have the front porch replaced just yet, but Bose actually did follow through and end the whole home cloud-based service options. So we went out to sit on the deck yesterday, and I went to put the music on while we were out enjoying the weather, and I could not utilize the system. So in any event, that's what's going on with that. Oh, let me show Grish let me switch back and show Grish the bracket for the iPad. So it's right there. It's similar to a super clamp, but it's not actually super clamp brand. And then just a little neck, gooseneck, or whatever kind of little arm that is. And it's perfect. It works for me. So, all right. Let me shut this down. Okay. Let me switch back. All right, we're back on the studio mic now. Let's go over to the comments. Chris says, I tried Video Ninja to stream from my phone into OBS as a web source. It was decent and not much delay since I was local. Cool. Oh, I just realized your desk is in a different location now. Got confused how going behind the desk you got there. No worries. Yeah, that sucks on the Bose. So perfectly good amp is brick now. Yeah, basically, I mean, the only thing they could be used for, well, I don't even know if those can be, but like the standalone wireless Bose speakers are also brick that I have around the house. So the only thing I could do with the wireless speakers is Bluetooth now if I wanted to stream, but I can only stream to one speaker. And some of them, depending on the model, I have different models, different years, different vintages. Depending on the model, I could also AirPlay to some of them, but not all of them. So it broke the whole system, you know, because I like having music playing throughout the house in the different zones, and to pick and choose if I want like which zones to play it in, and I don't have that anymore. So my thought is I'm going to get the one Sonos amp for now so that I can enjoy the back deck with Lisa and when we have company and friends over. And eventually, we don't really do too much sitting out on the front porch. We used to go out and have our coffee and tea in the mornings at some points, but I think now with the back deck, we're going to be pretty much utilizing that 90% of the time. The only time I really now play music on the front porch is for Halloween. When the kids are trick-or-treating, I play, you know, haunted music and things like that. And then for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I play Christmas carols 24/7 for the 2 days. So, I mean, it's not critical that I replace or I get the second Sonos amp. Although my thought process was I should really do it before the prices go up, because they're even up $100 from their normal retail. But anyway, so that's that on that. So yeah, so that's what's going on there. All right, so the audio changes that I made obviously were a flop. Thank you guys. I figured you guys would let me know one way or another. When I changed over to the Hollyland for the walking tour, was that sounding okay? All right, so that's the update on the UPS. One thing I did want to share with you is, let me just bring this up real quick. According to, I went back into Chat GPT and I went back into the UPS comparison assessment that I shared with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and let's just see. I asked them to do a new assessment. So if we look here, let me make this bigger. So now, as far as the headroom check, the EcoFlow Delta 3 Classic can output 1800 watts continuous. The rack load is only 267 watts, so we're at like 15% capacity. It says I have massive capacity headroom. Even if I spiked to 500 watts, things would still be fine. A traditional rack UPS like the APC Smart UPS, which was the one I originally was considering getting, would give me about 20 to 35 minutes runtime with this current load. The EcoFlow is giving me 3.3 hours, so I've gained effectively 5 to 6 times longer runtime than the traditional rack UPS. So I was kind of happy about that. It basically had said that I made a good decision. Final assessment, your rack is running 267 watt load, 3.3 hours of runtime, only 15% capacity. This is actually an extremely efficient home lab rack. The EcoFlow purchase turned out to be a very strong choice for long duration backup. So I know I was skeptical, but it appears that for me, for my situation, it looks like I made the right choice after all. So I will say thank you out to Joe and DJ Ware and those of you, TVJ, for kind of nudging me to go in that direction. So yeah, it seems to be working out. Chris says it is fine. It was fine with the Hollyland. Okay, good. Tim says sound is much better on both bikes. Joe says, I hate when hardware is bricked by software and becomes garbage. Yeah, and they weren't cheap. Those amps were $600 a piece. So, well, the same as the Sonos amps. Actually, the Sonos amps now are $800. They're $799 retail. So it should be illegal for any software to brick to reduce features post-purchase and after it came out. Yep. Tim says the runtime between the two is a big difference. Yeah, yep, for sure. Yes, Joseph, your recommendation was correct. I will drink and cheer you to that. It's only iced coffee, but I will cheer you to that. DJ Ware says, glad to hear the EcoFlow is working out for you. I really like it. Yep. I have lots of noise floor now. Well, could be because I cranked up the ATEM a little bit. I just dropped it back down a little bit. Have I tried to kill the power and see how it does? Actually, here's a funny thing that happened, and I'll do it live. I don't care. What's the worst case scenario? I lose the stream. Here's the funny thing. When I first set it up, I didn't push the power plug into the unit all the way in the back, so I didn't realize it wasn't even getting power from the utility, from the wall. And it was powering up the rack, no problem. And what I thought was odd was I kept looking at the display, and where it was saying input and output, it was showing output 267 or whatever, input 0. And I'm like, wow, that doesn't seem right. So then I got concerned, like, is my unit messed up, you know? But then I said, let me check physical connection. And when I was able to like jiggle the back cord quite a bit. And I pushed it in all the way, and all of a sudden, you know, the input started to register. So I know it's running things without, you know, it could run things on strict battery power. So yeah. Mr. BB 1731 says they should be required to replace it if they are software bricks. The product, that's for sure, regardless of how long you've owned it. I think part of the thing with Bose is they were discontinuing that line. I mean, they've been around since I think I bought my first one in 2012 and built the system out over time. I will still be using lead acid batteries until good lithium ion replacement recycling solutions are a thing. Yep. So, all right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go pull the plug because I've been thinking about doing that all week. And I thought even to myself, let me test it during the live stream. So I'm going to pull the plug. If I go away, I guess I'll just fire everything back up and restart the stream. So keep an eye out, but I don't think it's going to go away. In fact, I'm going to switch back over to the Hollyland now so I could talk through the process. All right, let me flip back over. All right, here we go. I'm going to walk over there without actually. Let me flip it onto the camera now. Let me see if this thing will work. This damn decoder. Let's see if usually after it connects one time, it won't connect the second time. But let's see. It says it's on air on the phone, but I gotta wait for the video to show. Yeah, the video's there. Wow, it actually worked. Okay, let's switch back over. You could see me actually pull the plug and I could put the camera on the rack. Let's see what happens. Watch the whole house blow up. Okay, here we are. It's the top one of the two. So I'm just going to kind of focus on well, actually I'll pull it here. And everything on the rack still on. The router's on, the switches are on. The NAS boxes are on. Everything is still up and running. So the display on the unit now switched from 0 input to 269 draw, and you can see it says right there 3 hours of runtime. So pretty accurate actually, to say the least. So I'm going to plug it back in, and now we should have the input registering. And that should drop back down eventually. So, yeah, so there we go. I think that was a successful test, unless the stream went down. I don't know. Looks like I'm still here. Okay, so there we have it. Let's see. Let's go back to the comments. Tim asks, is the EcoFlow silent? Yes, very. Even when it kicked on to power, you heard a little click and then It was virtually silent. I will still be using lead-based acid batteries. Yep, we saw that one before. I must have missed Tim's comment. Is that outlet on its own circuit? Would be cool to see if you flip the circuit. Well, I believe this whole room is on the one circuit, but it's dedicated. I think I asked when we built the house for 2 circuits up here, but I'm not sure if the electricians did it. But I know that at least the studio itself should be on its own circuit. But if I flipped it, I'd lose everything. I mean, unless it switched over, I don't know. Let's do it live. We did. 3 hours of runtime at only 82% battery. I have the battery threshold set to discharge to 20 and charge up to 85. And we're still here, so that's a good thing. So it will get you 20% more. We are here. Success, it worked. The little things in life that make us happy. Mr. BB 1731 says, I'm a little too late to the party. Which EcoFlow unit did you buy? I bought the Delta 3 Classic. It was the best price was Amazon at $425. The UPS I was looking at was the APC Smart 1500, and that was $649. So I actually saved quite a bit of money, and I'm happy with the decision. So, yeah. I guess let's see. Okay, so this week I was playing around. I finally decided. It seemed like H2R Graphics was the buzz for the week, between John Barker putting out his feature update video. Keith covered a couple of things in his live stream. TVJ actually talked a little bit about H2R in his live stream Wednesday night. And, I had planned, I wanted to cover the one feature. So there were 2 new features. He released something called a Telestrator, which would allow you to draw live on top of your live stream, which is a nice feature. I know Aaron does do that with a third-party app on an iPad. I forget which app he uses, but John built it right into H2R Graphics now. The other feature he added, although it's only available for people running Windows, it's not available on the actual Mac version, is he added NDI output. So you could take the output NDI via H2R Graphics. I couldn't even test that because it's not available on the Mac client app. So, but I did play with H2R. So let me give you a little bit of an explanation of how I'm using H2R. So you've seen me put graphics up, lower, chats and stuff like that. The bug in the upper left-hand corner or your right-hand corner of the screen is also H2R Graphics. And no, Joe, I didn't get a chance. That's one thing I didn't play with, was the keying on that. So the little green strip down the side is still there. So the way I have this set up is it's running on this laptop here that you see in front of you. There's an HDMI out, which is you see right here that I'm pointing to. I'm taking the HDMI out of this laptop and I'm feeding it into a HDMI, a 3G Blackmagic 3G HDMI to SDI converter, and then taking it out of the converter and into the ATEM 2ME into channel 16. And then in the ATEM, let me just bring that up. Where is it? In the ATEM switcher, the third upstream key, this one right here, is the H2R graphics. So if I bring a chat on the screen, let me do that. I'll just bring this one up. And if I turn off, if you watch me turn off number 3, the chat goes away. And if I bring the key upstream key on, the chat comes back. So that's how I have it configured. And I also have the laptop set to extended display so that I open up. I'll show you this. Let me get this on. So let me bring this over here. So when you open up H2R Graphics, you're presented with this basically home page. Up here is the rundown. So that would be this. This is the rundown of all the assets that can be turned on and off in the stream. So again, I could bring that graphic back up on the stream by just hitting the asset. So you open up the rundown up here, and then you open the output up. There's different options for the output. And I tend to open it up on the extended display, the 1920 by 1080. So that's how that works. So with the telestrator being able to write on the screen, now hopefully, let me just open it up real quick. Let me bring it back here. Sorry for making you dizzy. With the telestrator, you add a telestrator here. You click on add to add an asset, and then these are all the assets available to add. He's got lots of different things. So if we go down, you can see there's an option to add a telestrator. Well, I already did that. And that telestrator is right here. And I could bring it on air, but you see like nothing really happens except that it shows that it's on air, but it doesn't really come on air until you hit the little pencil and say open telestrator. Now I'm not sure. I think to me that's a little backwards. Like I think when you say on air, it should also launch. It did it. I didn't want it to do that. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, let me bring this back over to my screen, and I have to just launch the output again to monitor 2. There we go. Okay, so this is the way I wanted to show it to you, not full screen. And so for whatever reason, when I take it out of full screen, it actually kills the output too. So, all right, so looking at it this way, actually I like it better with my face covered. Looking at it this way, I think this window should open up when you bring it live on air in the rundown, but that's just me. And maybe if enough people mention that to John, he'll change that. But looking like left to right, you have your tools here. You have a pen tool, you have a highlighter tool. I know Keith went through all this, but for the people who don't watch Keith, this is an arrow tool. This is a circle oval tool. This is rectangle square. This is a line tool, and this is an eraser. Then you have your color palette here, and then you can also size the thickness of the lines here, and then you can remove an item and then clear the entire screen. So for example, if I take color red and I make a red box, I can then come over here and I can increase the lines, and I can select blue, and I can make a circle a little thicker, and then I could draw an arrow in yellow. And let me make the arrow line even bigger. So you kind of get the idea. And again, like I said, you can grab the eraser and you can erase one at a time. You can erase one at a time also this way without clicking on them, without having to use the eraser and click on every one. Or if you have a bunch of stuff on the screen, you can just come over to the trash can and it basically clears the entire screen. Now, the thing I really like about this is, now you're going to see a little infinity going on right now, but I'll move it so you don't see that. Under where it says no webcam, under the drop down, it sees all the webcams that are available to your system. So if I choose the Black Magic webcam, it's going to bring the program feed live into the telestrator. So now let me just do this so you don't see the actual infinity going on. So now I like drawing on the screen, I can actually take a circle and like draw it around my head. So I could actually see what I'm drawing on. I have a reference image, which is really, really cool. Again, I don't think that's the case with the third-party program that Aaron's using. I think he's just seeing a image like this and he's kind of just drawing blindly. Like if I wanted to draw that same circle around my head, I'm not sure where I am. I mean, that's pretty close, but I can't move it once it's drawn. So that's pretty cool. The other thing I like about it is if I pick up, you saw me pick up my webcam. So if I come over here, I could actually choose, you saw me pick up my phone. I mean, I could actually choose my phone's camera, and now I could move around a handheld phone. So like in the background there, I could say, and then I could take the tools and I could say, hey, if I was showing you something on that back workbench, like see that computer back there? That's the computer that I do X, Y, and Z on. I don't have to, like, wouldn't have to physically get up and show you. So it's a real cool tool for stuff like that. But the one feature I really like about it, let me get this over here. If I take my iPad, I was trying to help Keith with this the other night to get him to get it to work, but we were just doing over text, and it's for whatever reason it wasn't working for him. But if I take my iPad, I could bring up the telestrator on my iPad, and I can draw on my iPad and draw live on my screen. So if I take that same circle and go around my head, you can see I'm drawing on the screen. Or if I want to take the arrow, let's see if I can find my microphone. There, I'm kind of drawing blindly because on the remote telestrator on the iPad, it's not giving me that reference image. It's only giving me the blank telestrator, but still, it's a lot easier to draw and write with my finger than with the mouse. So if I wanted to write the word, oops, I'm on the arrow tool, sorry. If I wanted to write the word, I'm trying to, there we go, hello. It's easier for me to do that with my finger than it would be with the actual mouse. So in any event, that's a really cool feature that I like that was added to H2R Graphics. It would be very, very cool if there's a way, John figures out a way to get the reference program image into the actual remote iPad. And the way this is done is the telestrator has an ID. So if I bring back, let me get to the rundown again. Excuse me. The rundown opened up. Okay. In the actual, every time you add an asset, this particular I could add a second telestrator and a third telestrator, but in the actual rundown, if I click on, it says locked. If I go to edit, up here, it's real tiny. I know you can't see it, but right underneath here, it says that this is the ID for this particular telestrator. Now, there's also an option to copy the output URL. For me, I'm telling you right now, that's not working. So I had to figure out the URL on my own. So the URL is, I got to get back out of here. Again, it's going to, there we go. I had to turn the key off for that to happen. The URL is because I'm running H2R on a separate computer, it's the IP address of the computer that it's running on, followed by the port number. And then in the beginning of, let me just bring this over here and switch to this. Okay. In the beginning of the, where's my mouse? You have URLs for everything, right? Because they're basically just browser pages. So it's basically the URL followed by, you can't see this, but it's followed by, this says the port number, rundown, ABCD. So the syntax for the telestrator is the IP address followed by the port number, followed by the word telestrator, followed by the word AB or the letters ABCD, followed by the actual ID of the telestrator. And you just input that into the remote device. In this case, an iPad, it could be an Android tablet, it doesn't matter. And it'll bring up that telestrator remotely on your system. So I like it. It really, really works. Just bear with me. I got to get back into H2R here. I don't know why when it goes full screen, it kills the... I know you're not seeing what I'm doing, but it kills the actual output to the monitor. But in any event, that's that. I need to get out of here for 1 second. Okay, and let me just relaunch it. Just to reset everything. It's easier to do it that way. I know you guys are like, what the hell is he talking about? Oh, I did it again. All right. Not working for me. Hold on. Finally. Got it. And let me just open this up. So anyway, that's the new feature in H2R Graphics. Like I said, I could not demonstrate the NDI because that option's not there. All right, let's go back to... Now, speaking of the comments, Jay guilted me this week after I watched his Wednesday stream when he said, everybody should be using fill and key. And I was like, yeah, I know. I have been such a... I have been so, like... I've opposed OBS for a long, long time. And part of the reason is my first experience with OBS was over 15 years ago. And I remember, boy, did it bog down the machine. It was a beast. It was hungry. Everything slowed down to a T. And I was like, this is crap. I know everybody uses it today, but I've managed to stream up until now and do all my videos up until now without using OBS in my mix. But like I said, TVJ guilted me the other night. So I explored using OBS, knowing that I won't stream with it, and put that burden on my Mac Studio because I'm streaming with the web presenter. I decided to try OBS for the purpose of fill and key. Since I still have the DeckLink Duo card in the Sonnet enclosure, and I'm not using the DeckLink Duo card, well, I wasn't using the DeckLink Duo card ever since the sports show ended because I'm not bringing in remote guests via Zoom ISO anymore. It worked great for that. It really, really did. But now I have this $500 DeckLink Duo card, which I bought new, by the way, at the time. And then that Sonnet enclosure was pretty expensive too. I have this almost $1,000 worth of gear sitting on my AV rack here and nothing. I'm not using it. So I decided to concede and give OBS a shot, just to do fill and key, like in graphics, and nothing else right now. So I got it all set up, and so I installed. Let me just try to find myself where I am in the chat. So here, hi from Boston. Hey Rick, welcome, by the way. Speaking of Keith's stream, I met you in the, I believe I met you, you're the guitar instructor, correct? I think I met you in one of Keith's Zoom roundtable calls, or whatever the quarterly call. Thanks for joining. So I ended up doing the chat, bringing in Aaron's chat through OBS, having OBS feed the output to the DeckLink Duo. I used to use Aaron's chat before I got involved in H2R Graphics, but I did it where I was opening up before you were able to pull the chat URL and use it as a browser source in OBS. It was just putting the full screen chat window on an extended monitor, and then into the live stream. But then I got involved with H2R Graphics, and I kind of said, no, this is a lot easier. But now I'm doing it this way. Well, I tried it this way, and some nice things I like about it. What I really did like about H2R was having the laptop right in front of me with my eyes. As I'm getting older, my eyes are not getting any better. They're slowly deteriorating. So it was nice having the laptop directly in front of me. So what I thought I would do is, the thing with fill and key, though, boy, what a pain in the ass it was to figure out the order of the ports on the back of the DeckLink card. And even after I got it figured out, they're supposed to be ordered from top to bottom. There's 5 BNC connectors, and they're supposed to be ordered, to my understanding. The top one is SDI 1, then SDI 2, SDI 3, SDI 4, and then the bottom one, closest to where it plugs into the PCIe slot, is the reference port. Well, to get that all squared away and set up for me, it was just trial and error. Plug and see which one works, plug and see which one brings up the fill, plug, because it wasn't working out. And then to complicate that even more, OBS, I found out, so I set SDI 1 and 2 to be fill and key, where A is fill and B is key. I didn't realize that OBS does A as key and B as fill. So it was reversed in my, so it's just like, I don't know why it needs to be in 2026, why it needs to be that confusing, but it is. And I know I'm not the only person out there that has wasted more time than they should have figuring out which port was which. But anyway, it's working. There it is. And I could bring that same chat up on the screen. What happened to my H2R? Connect. There we go. I could bring that same chat. Let me find Rick's chat. Let's do it live. I just got to scroll through the chat. Hi from Boston. So there's the chat in H2R Graphics. So let me just move it up a little bit let me move the Aaron Parecki chat up a little bit there. All right, so that's obviously I styled the colors in H2R Graphics because I didn't like the default orange that came out of the box. But so if we go to another chat, let's go to BMac, and we'll find BMac over here. BMark, I should say. Sorry. All right, so there's a better comparison of a longer chat. You could also colorize and change the colors and styles on Aaron's chat in the Chrome extensions, but his is definitely fill and key, and H2R Graphics is being chroma keyed right now. So I have a feeling I'm going to, now that I went through the problem, the hassle of setting up OBS and figuring out the ports on the deck link, I have a feeling I'm going to stick with Aaron's chat plugin for actual graphic, not graphics, but actual chat messages. So, but there's a comparison for those of you who always see, most of us, probably 90% of the live streamers that you follow using the Aaron Parecki live chat plugin. There's the comparison between the two. So, and let me see, what does that question say? With the Delta 3, does it connect to the internet and give you up and down alerts? Yes, you can connect it via Wi-Fi to their cloud portal if you'd like. Okay, let me get this off the screen. And let me move Aaron's chat back down. Because from here on in, I'll just do the Aaron Parecki chat for the rest of this stream. Now, and welcome Dick Rooney. I know it's blocking the view. I was doing that intentional. So it was to demonstrate the telestrator feature. Let's see. Joe says, interesting, your red box you drew with the telestrator also has a green highlight around it. It's something with red and the chroma key. Yep. I have an idea. What if you use an iPad as an extended display to the Mac, then use telestrator window on the iPad, then draw on it? That could work. That could work. I remember there used to be an app that allowed you to extend the iPad as a second monitor. I'm not sure if you even need a third party at this point. Key and Fill is also 1080i 5994. And DJ is saying, and Mac with 60 frames per second, just to make sure you learn from that lesson. Yep. I thought that was you, Rick. Welcome. Yep, correct. The max like integer frame rate that has burned me from before on switchers that don't have scalars. Interesting. I know. I realized that. Well, I didn't realize you were busting TVJ, but I understood that it wasn't 1080i. Yes, unfortunately, many switchers still don't have scalars. Key and fill is more important with transparency. If it's a flat graphic, you won't notice the difference likely. I am not. I don't know if Joe is. You don't need the app anymore. If you click the toolbar, you can do it easily. I'm not running Wi-Fi. I would imagine I would have to have Wi-Fi turned on the Mac. I keep it turned off because of the way I have certain things programmed firewall-wise between my trusted network and my management network. So if I turn Wi-Fi on this Mac Studio, I lose a couple things. So I'm not going to attempt that live because I'm not really fully understanding it. B. Mark says, I got disconnected and reconnected now. Unsure if you answered the question. Does the UPS you have email notifications of up and down? I did not. It is connected to the internet via Wi-Fi. Whether or not it sent me an email. I'm not sure if that's possible or not. DJ Ware, you actually have one, so maybe you know. I'm looking in my emails now to see if I got anything. Nope. So that's a good question, B Mark. I'm not 100% sure. The first chat message asked whether or not it could connect to the internet. And yes, you can. I'm not sure about setting up email notifications. I haven't dug that deep into it. And there's my answer. Thank you, DJ Ware. DJ Ware says, yes, it can do notifications. It's an option. So let me go into I'm assuming an option in the mobile app, DJ. Let's see. Device sharing, space, auto timeout, screen brightness, time zone, Wi-Fi charging, scheduled tasks, operating mode. I'm not seeing it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Yeah, no, I know. It's just easier for me I just leave it off because well, you want to fully walk me through it, Joe? I'll try. I'm not grasping it, but I'm be willing to try. And DJ Ware is saying yes, in the mobile app. Okay, I'm in the mobile app. I'm in the settings. Device sharing, it's not there. Beep is on or off, auto timeout, screen brightness, time zone, Wi-Fi. AC charging, sorry you guys aren't seeing this. Car charging, X boost, output memory, disable grid. Charge discharge limit, which I have set. Operating mode, scheduled tasks, would it be under? No. StormGuard are emergency settings. That's off. Firmware help center specifications. Homepage style and clear data. Power off and unbind. I am not seeing it. I am sorry. But that's okay, I guess. I'll have to figure it out. All right. APC is so friggin' expensive. Also requires a 30 amp plug for 3K plus UPS. Yours does not, it seems, which is a bonus. Looking for something as reliable as APC notification wise. Well, I can only speak to the Delta 3 Classic. It's only been in service for a week. I could tell you it's quiet. It's not intrusive. I don't know if you were here when I pulled the plug on it. I pulled the plug on it live on the stream earlier, and it stream didn't drop, the rack didn't drop. It switched over almost literally immediately. So based on that, I could say I'm really, really liking it and happy with the decision I made. DJ Ware, which is Cyber Gizmo in the chat, he's had one running for years, which is, was a good thing for me to hear. But I could speak highly of it. So, I mean, I don't want you to buy it on my 1 week's recommendation, but that was definitely a lot more cost effective than buying the APC, and it's doing the job for me. I like the steampunk avatar, DJ. Sorry, I'm wrong, referring to the notification in StormGuard. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see it. Let me bring this up. Joe sent me the article teaching me something about Apple. Okay. Let me get the chat off the screen. Thanks, Joe. Let me bring this up and go full screen on this. With Sidecar, you can use your iPad as a display that extends or mirrors your Mac desktop. Okay. I got you. Let's see. With Sidecar, getting ready. Before continuing, make sure your Mac and iPad. Oh, wait a minute. I would be testing it right now off of the laptop, not the Mac Studio. So the Wi-Fi is not an issue because I forgot that the telestrator is in H2R Graphics. Okay. Each signed with the same Apple ID. That's fine. User wirelessly, but keep your iPad charged. Yep. Okay, so move your pointer. All right, let me get out of this screen and just move this over here. Okay, let's move this here. Let me do it here. Let me get the iPad. All right, let's see what happens. All right, move your pointer over the full screen icon on the Mac. All right, let's do that. Where is it? Come over here. Okay. Okay. Then choose the option to move that window to your iPad. That's it? Well, how do we get them to connect, though, first? I think I missed that step. You can use Sidecar wirelessly to keep your iPad charged during use. Connect it directly to your Mac with the USB charge cable. That move your... Let me see something. Exit full screen. Oh, look at that. If it works. It's there, but it's keyed out. Wait, there we go. Oh, let me try this. Duh, learned something new. Let's see if this works. All right, let me get the telestrator open. Hopefully it won't go to the other screen. Okay. Now, let me move to iPad. Oh. Let's see. All right, now, hold on. Let me kill that for a second. It's frozen on the iPad. It's there. Hold on. I'm sorry you guys weren't seeing me. It's there, but it's frozen. Let's see. How do I get it back? Damn. Let's try this again. Let's open up the telestrator. And let's say move to iPad. Not moving, not there. Interesting. It's not moving, Joe. It's not working for me. So here's the iPad, and on the laptop I have the telestrator open. You guys can see the iPad. And if I hold the button down that goes full screen, I have an option that says move to iPad, and when I click on that, nothing happens. So it's not working for me, and I'm probably doing something wrong, but at least I tried. But now you got my interest peaked, so that'll be something I play with a little bit more offline. Okay. I am going to bookmark this page. Done. There we go. Okay. I tried. Can't say I didn't try, Joseph. All right. We got 21 people here, and we have 15 likes. So thank you guys very much. I'm going to start a poll real quick. Here's the question. Hold on. And here we go, start poll. Okay. All right, let's see. Carm says, I had to go offline. Not sure if you saw my recommendation to check out Weem amp as a Sonos alternative, half the price and more freedom on the audio sources. I did not see that. I am not familiar with that at all. Let me see if I can Google that real quick. I mean, I already ordered the Sonos amp, and I also have a Sonos surround 5.1 surround set up in my lanai. So I am probably going to continue to now scale the Sonos system and fade out the Bose system. But let me just check it out. See what it is. So it looks like I just got a message on the by the way, Joe, I just got a message on the iPad that says unable to connect to the iPad. So miscellaneous error occurred -1010. There you go. All right. Let me close this. Let me get this offline. I'm a little discombobulated because it's a new setup and I'm not familiar with it. So I'm still going to H2R for all the graphics, and now it's over here. Let's go to here. Let's take a look. WIIM amp, multi-room streaming amplifier compatible with AirPlay, Google Cast, Alexa, HDMI, voice control, stream from Spotify, Amazon Music, Tidal, and more. Interesting. So if you add multiple of these, Carm, just now out of curiosity, like I said, I'm pretty much committed to going the Sonos route since I already have a 5.1 system in the one room. But I'm curious, with these, can you, $299 is half the price or less, more than half the price of the Sonos amp. But yeah, you could almost get 3 of these for one Sonos amp. Just about $900 versus $800 for one Sonos amp. But my question is to you, if you set up multiple of these to multiple sets of speakers, can you create a whole home distributed audio system like you can with the Sonos? Because that'd be interesting. Nice. 120 watts per channel at 4 ohms. Oh yeah, there's my answer. Effortless multi-room audio. Seamlessly build a unified multi-room sound system with your current AirPlay 2 speakers, Amazon. Okay. Interesting. Well, thank you for that. I will keep that in mind for future situations where my clients, potential customers, don't want to pay $800 per Sonos amp. That's good to know. Thank you for that. All right. Yeah, no, I'm going to continue to mess with this, Joe, offline. It returned the message while I was doing something else on the computer that it couldn't connect for some reason. And yes, they are on the same Wi-Fi. And no, it did not move to the other iPad. It was trying to connect to this one. You can use as full extended display, top right of toolbar. Yeah, that would be, listen, the theory, the concept is fantastic. If that iPad can actually be a second monitor and I can just move the telestrator from the laptop monitor over to, and then it should still see the webcam plugged in, the Blackmagic, Web Presenter output. That's how, by the way, I'm getting the program in. I'm taking the webcam out of the Web Presenter and bringing it in USB-C into the laptop. In theory, just by moving the telestrator to the other screen, should still see the program on the telestrator. So it'd be, give me a reference image. That would be, the concept is fantastic if I can get it to work. So, okay. Well, I failed. Yeah, that definitely looks like a cool option. And yes, yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Carm. I really do appreciate that referral. So, all right. So, one other thing that I tried this week offline that I failed at, and I'll share it with you, is I got somebody asked in, I don't know if it was Keith's stream or Jay's stream when they were talking about H2R Graphics. I believe it was K9 Striker. And again, I don't remember which stream it happened in. He was asking about the H2R map, whether or not it works like Aaron Parecki's. What he was asking about was if you use this map option, if you put in the comments, hello from Portland, Maine, or Portland, Oregon, it will put a pin marker on the map so you could see where your viewers are tuning in the live stream. Aaron does that all the time. He's got his own map that he built himself. Aaron has a map. John Barker has a map built into H2R Graphics that does the same thing or similar. A couple of years ago, I tried it. It would not work. I did a couple of Discord messages back and forth with John, and I remember we got it working. I don't remember what the fix was, but then since that, by the way, John was great about going, corresponding and helping. I don't remember exactly what fixed it, whether it was something I did on my end or something he did on his end. But the bottom line is, K9 Striker asked the question this week: does it zoom when a pin appears on the map? Does it zoom into the geographic area and then zoom back out? Like, I guess Aaron's does that. And I wrote to him and I said, I used to use the map, but then it stopped working. And then it put to a point where it stopped working, where it wouldn't even come up in the stream, like something happened with the API key. I said, and I haven't revisited it. Well, I decided to revisit it this week. And I got the map working again, so I had to go in and create. I completely went into the Google Developers portal and completely deleted the original map product, created a new one, got the two APIs installed, and it generated one API. So I got a new API key. I brought it into H2R Graphics. Theoretically, according to John's instructions, if you see the map come up in H2R like you're seeing here, then it should work. I tested it this week with an unlisted stream. I tried to leave a comment saying hello from Wilmington, North Carolina, and the pin on the map did not appear. So those of you out there, if you'd like to start leaving greetings, make sure you say something. If you want to see it, whether it works or not here, I don't think it's going to work. All you have to do is type in hello from Sweden or hello from Argentina or whatever. So like I'm going to try it here. I'm going to say hello from Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, so I just typed in hello from Wilmington, North Carolina in the chat. It just showed up in H2R Graphics in the chat here. You can see it here. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Hold on one second. So, real quick, let me go back to the rundown. Go to here. You could start to see all your messages are showing up in H2R Graphics. So H2R is pulling them in. However, when I go back to the map, as happened the first time, there's nothing appearing on the map. So I was so excited when I got the API key and the project recreated in the Google Developers Portal, got the map to show up here, but there's still a disconnect and I don't know what it is. Thank you all for trying, by the way, to submit the test chats. So, but in any event, and Keith Bennett had wanted to know how to get chat messages into H2R Graphics, but since he's not here, I'm not going to bother showing that. That's something I could do with him one-on-one in a Zoom call or something like that. But he was interested in how to create the API and get H2R Graphics to pull in the chat. So, but here are all the messages that did not show up. Havana, Cuba, that's cool. Havana, Cuba. Hello from the UK. Bluey, welcome. Alonzo, welcome. I don't, like I said, Joe, I don't remember what the problem was the last time we had. So what it's doing right now is what it did last time. I corresponded with John. We got it working. Shortly after we got it working, something happened with the API key and the map would not even load in H2R Graphics. It just came up with a big error across the screen. And at that point, I got frustrated with it and said it's unstable. For me, I consider that not stable. It's not something I want to use. And I never went back to it. But then the question came up the other night from K9 Striker, and I thought, well, okay, let's revisit it and see if we can get it to work. And we're back to square one, and it's not worth my time and effort, really. I'd rather figure out the iPad thing than put my time and effort into that. So, yeah. So I think we're caught up with the comments. For those of you that do live stream in some sort, some fashion, if you are looking for free graphics, there is a site that I used called overlays.uno. I'm going to show it to you. I used it for the sports stream and it worked out really well. They're basically browser overlays. So let me bring it up. There's a paid tier, but I'm also using the free tier. And it is like very, very plentiful, even on the free tier. So let me go to here. And let me show you this. So it's overlays.uno. I'll put the link in the chat. And if I go to the library, these are all the different types of chats. In fact, I just added this one right here, the spinning wheel, to my favorite library because I don't need my subscription to Gleam.io anymore after it runs out to just do giveaways. And this one works actually a little better. I could show you that in a minute. But like, you got a bunch of stuff. And it's like really, really cool. So if I go into my favorites, or I go into all the ones that I saved, for example, here, for this one, for example, if I go into it here, it takes you behind the scenes. And real quick, let me just come out of this for a second. And I have it already in H2R Graphics as a web overlay. And this, what I'm doing right here is the sports rundown. Jay, you had mentioned this a couple of streams ago about doing a sports rundown. I could easily do it in H2R Graphics, and I can easily update, not H2, I could do it using H2R Graphics, but now I could also do it using, because it's just a browser overlay, I could do it in OBS Studio as well. But right now I had set up in H2R Graphics. And I can actually monitor the rundown. Like I could update them live while the show is going on. They don't just have to be there static, which is really, really nice. So that's kind of nice because, in a sense, when I wasn't using when I wasn't using OBS, H2R was the medium that I needed to bring in the browser overlay. So. And that's what I was doing a lot for the sports show. But if I go back to this here, you can see you got a lot of power behind the scenes. You can turn different things on and off. If you watch the little preview window up top, turning the background on and off, turning the lower third on and off, although I didn't see anything happen there. The talking points on and off, the topic bar on and off. Then you can go in and you can manipulate the background. It gives you a lot of flexibility. You put in your lower third information, your talking points here. So if I wanted, while the show was going live, someone could sit here and be updating these, because these do update in real time. Then your topic bar. So you have a lot of customization. And that's just the one graphic. So sorry. I think it's a free program that works extremely well. So I will put the link in the chat for anybody who needs. It's got, I mean, if you go through the library and you click on, let me go back to here. I mean, you hear people talk about live score, scoreboards. They have all different options for scoreboards that you can bring in. For soccer, for football, for baseball, and you can customize each and every one of these things. For, like I showed you, customizing the sports rundown. Under the library here on the left-hand side, everything that you see here that I'm scrolling through in this little window pane, these are all the categories. And they're not even showing them all. You could expand, show more, show more. These are all the categories that are part of the free plan. So worth a little time maybe perusing if you are looking for easy to make and use graphics on the fly. For free, you can't beat it. And I'll put the link in here. All right, let's go back to the chat. Maybe John is related. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. Yep, overlays.uno, Pizzeria Uno. I didn't say Pizzeria Uno. I use OBS Studio for my tutorial videos. Tim says when I show my PC or tablet screens, works well from fast for me. Yep. Like I said, my first experience with OBS was so many years ago, and the hardware wasn't where it is today, and probably the software wasn't where it is today. I could tell you it's not putting any burden on my Mac Studio at all to do this. So yeah. So I think I may continue. We've got to see how's the poll doing. The poll says, oh wow. So that's interesting. The poll says 78% of you say stick with H2R, not Aaron, and 20% say the Aaron Parecki chat. That's interesting. Wow. I wonder why that is. I mean, aside from the fact that I paid $80 for the license for H2R Graphics. But, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that, to be quite honest with you. And there's the URL for overlays.uno. And this is one thing about H2R Graphics, though sometimes it drops the icon, the profile icon, and I don't know why. Well, Tim, you're not showing up with a profile here in H2R Graphics, but you are showing up with the profile in Aaron Parecki's chat. So I'm not sure why H2R does that. It's not the first time I've seen it do that. Well, it's not about that. It's not about pleasing Jay. I teased him. I sent him a signal message this week basically saying, you guilted me, dude. But it was more about wanting to use the gear that I have sitting. Like I said earlier, when I started this whole thing, I have like almost $1,000 worth of gear sitting right there between because the Sonnet enclosure is a 3 PCI card slot enclosure. So, and the cost of that and the cost of the DeckLink Duo card, it was just, I was cringing thinking it's not being put to use anymore. So in my head, even if I could put it to use doing something as simple as the chat plugin and using key and fill, I don't know. The other thought I had too was streaming RTSP directly from my security cameras to FFmpeg, and having FFmpeg stream to the DeckLink Duo card. I played around with that a little bit this week, but I was unsuccessful at getting FFmpeg built with the DeckLink support on the Mac Studio, because it's connected to the Sonnet enclosure is connected to the Mac Studio. So I would have to install FFmpeg on the Mac Studio. And so it just, yeah. So anyway, but it's not to please Jay as much as it was to utilize the money, the investment I made in the gear. Just keep H2R for now. I do like that Aaron's pop-up for the... Oh, I think I could change that on H2R. I'll have to look. Left and right sliding is distracting. If you were building custom motion graphics with transparency, it would be worth it. Interesting. As far as the chat is concerned, if I go into... Let's see what I could do here. Let me bring this message on the screen, and let me go into the edit mode and go to here. I know you're not seeing me, but okay, so that's, what does that do? That pops it up from the bottom, but it centered it. So now what I need to do is offset that a little bit. Oop, too much. There. And done. There you go, Grish. So how did I do that? Well, I'm in the rundown and I clicked on the edit button. And if you come over to position, here you choose. So when it was coming in from sliding in from the left side, I had this block here selected. But when you change the block, it also changes how it transitions in. But then it was transitioning in, it was centering it. So then I just offset it a little bit to the left. And now that's it. Now it will pop up and down from the bottom. Okay. All right. Bluey says, I think H2R is easier on the eye. Now, it's interesting because Bluey's message was shorter, so it popped up from this. It's centered now. So the shorter message is obviously, let me go to this one here. So they're not going to be like that. It depends on the length of the message. So that's going to be the trade-off. But I guess it really doesn't matter. But I'm not sure why Bluey's not coming in with a profile icon either. So in any event, all right, let's look at last week's polls. But what I was going to say when Bluey said, I think it's easier on the eye. See, I don't personally. I find that color glaring. And you've seen me change the chat color a couple of times. I just can't find something that I like. So I've stuck with this one for the last couple of weeks. But to me, I think that's not easy on the eye, to be honest with you. But Mr. Tim Tech says, I agree with Bluey. Okay, well, there you go. The community has spoken. Not going to say I'm not a little disappointed. I was kind of looking forward to switching over. That's okay. Let's see. Here we are. Let's go to here. All right. 1 day ago, 3 days ago, and 5 days ago. Let me get rid of the little... There we go. Okay. Have you spent more than planned on tech so far this year in Q1? We have 104 votes. 37 people said more than I would have liked to. 12% said a little, not too much over. 13% said actually right on target. And 39% said haven't bought anything. Interesting. So if we add the first two together, we have 49% spent over budget, whether it was a lot over budget or a little over budget. 49% of the 104 votes. Wow, interesting. All right, let's go to, is your current home lab, we have 147 votes. Finish the sentence. Is your current home lab wildly overbuilt? 11% of you said that. Slightly overbuilt, 29% say that. Slightly underbuilt, 39%. And 21% say, I don't have a home lab. Let's look at the comments on this one. David says, mine is slightly overbuilt with my recent upgrades. However, I fully expect I will fully grow into it in less than 2 years. Peter says, right now it's underbuilt because I haven't finished building it yet, LOL. Jack Squat 55 says, which one? I have 3 labs, one on each floor of the house, including the basement. Each one gets improved as money allows. I recently started working on my electrical engineering degree, so I guess that means another lab. Good thing I'm not married. So, all right. And then the last one is referring to the UPS or the rack power draw, 84 votes from yesterday. Have you actually calculated your rack's power draw? Yes, precisely, 23% of you. 30% of you said rough estimate. 42% said no, I'm afraid to know. And 6% said what's a rack? So there you go. There we have our review of our weekly polls. Speaking of polls, let's go up to our poll, see how many votes we got. 12 votes, 75%. H2R wins. All right, we're going to end that poll. We still have 18 people here and 18 likes. That's really pretty cool. Thanks, everyone. Sorry that the iPad thing test that Joe wanted me to do, using it as a second monitor, didn't work. I'll see if I can get that working, though, definitely for next week, and see if, in theory, that using the telestrator in that fashion, where I can see the program view, is actually, if that actually works. That's a great idea. Thank you, Joe, for that. And let's see. There was one article that I just found actually this morning, and I just thought it was kind of funny. I'll share it with you guys because I use these. I mean, I think the article makes it sound like they're in, I guess they are installed in all cars, but I just added these. They're called tire pressure sensors. They monitor the tire pressure. I added those for the motorcycle, and I get status on the phone as to whether or not they're at the correct pressure or they've dipped below, and I get warnings and push notifications. And then I found this article this morning that says vehicle tire pressure sensors enable silent tracking, so it caught my attention. Basically, it's talking about cars, but this is exactly it right here. It shows the tire pressure low when you see that on your dashboard. Well, they're basically saying that it could be used, those monitor systems can be used to track people's movements. Low-cost vehicle tracking, team of researchers from Spain, tested models priced at around $100. I'm just like glancing over it. They said that over a 10-week period, researchers gathered more than 6 million TPMS transmissions from 20,000 vehicles that use the road. The results show that the GPS monitoring systems can be used to systematically infer potential sensitive information such as pressure, presence, type, weight, or driving pattern of a driver. Anyone can use a TPS monitoring signal to track the vehicles, by extension, the movement of their owners, researchers said. So basically, it's crazy. The security issue the researchers discovered is that TPMS transmissions are sent over the air in clear text without any authentication. Thus, anyone with a receiver capable of picking up that frequency can intercept the transmission from outside the vehicle, just as the vehicle's own internal receiver. So that article caught my eye specifically because, like I said, I put those on my motorcycle, and the reason I put them on my motorcycle, I'll share the link to that article in the chat. The reason I put them on the motorcycle is because checking the rear tire pressure on a motorcycle that has between the brake calibers and the bags, the hard case bags, it's really a pain in the you-know-what, especially if the wheel is in a position where the valve isn't where you can see it. So you lay down on the ground so that you can see it and kind of get your hand up there. And then it's not where you think it is. So then you got to get up off the ground, get on the bike, move the bike around, kind of guess where you think the valve is at, get off the bike, lay back down. And at 64 years old, I was like, this sucks. And when I saw the Bluetooth tire pressure monitors that will give me the status on the phone, if I could just pull up the app and go, oh, I don't need to put air in, they're good. Saves me that having to get down. So I was like, but then I saw this article and I was like, well, I'm not taking them off because they're in my car, so what the hell's the difference? But I just thought that was interesting. So there's the article for those of you who want to read the whole thing. Joe's saying, I don't think, oh, they're talking about $100 units, Joe. I mean, my unit was $98, something like that. All tires have a transmitter already for built-in TPS. Yes. If you change rims, TPS has to be recalibrated to the new transmitter frequency. Ask me how I know. I know how you know. I think they're talking about every system, not the ones you buy aftermarket. I don't know. But anyway, I thought for me, the point being is it piqued my interest when I was scrolling through my feed and I saw that it made me click on that article. So it hooked me. So anyway, I think that's about it for now. I have to do this. I had to. Sorry. All right. Well, now that I have fill and key set up in OBS and I have the Decklink card set up, outputting properly, I could always use it for other things. But yeah. So didn't get a video out this week. Work started to pick up a little bit. So yeah, I'll hopefully get to the studio as far as recording this week a little bit. We'll see. Like I said, work is picking up, which is a good thing. And it was slow. We were slow for a while, but I welcome the break. But now it's starting to pick up. I guess weather's starting to get nice. Did get out on the motorcycle. Speaking about motorcycle this week, we've been in the high 70s, low 80s. And we're going to be that way through this week. So and then we're going to hit a cold snap again for a little bit. But I think we've actually turned the actual corner. So yeah, that's about it. I really don't think I have much else to share or talk about. I think I'm all caught up on the comments. Bluetooth is actually more secure. The rims are just an open frequency. So does anybody have any other questions? Oh, the one thing I didn't share was this, and I didn't know about it. Jason from Jason's Lab sent it to me this morning. By the way, I still have not gotten the point-to-point system from Grandstream yet. So the big access point, the GWN 7674, has two ports on the back. It has a PoE++ 2.5 gig port and a PoE++ 10 gig port. So I could power it with PoE++, but only at 2.5 gig because I don't have the capability of sending PoE++ over 10 gig. Because the only 10 gig ports I have on my switches are SFP+. So Grandstream released their new product brochure. In fact, I got the email last night. You probably got it too, Tim. Jason said he signaled me earlier this morning or last night. Did you know that Grandstream makes PoE power over Ethernet injectors? And I said no, I did not. So they make three models: the 15 watt, 30 watt, and the 60 watt injectors. And then here's the standards. Now I tried to get some pricing on them, but I don't have pricing yet on them. I checked a couple of other retailers, but I just thought it was interesting that they actually do make them. So anyway, there's the link if anybody wants to read up on it more. Tim says he's still waiting on his P2P. Tony, you should make a charcuterie board with that giant AP. Yeah. And there's the link. So, all right, folks, we had 21 people here right before I shared that link. We are down to 17. I have been live for an hour and 52 minutes. So that'll do it for me this week. I want to thank you all for being here as I do each and every week. I appreciate you all. I look forward to seeing you guys next Saturday. It's getting to be nice weather out there. We might just see a stream from the back porch one of these days soon. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you again next Saturday. Take care.